we continue the class. In the last class, we have learned about the ART, or Assisted Reproduction Technologies. Now, today we will learn about sexually transmitted diseases, or we call it STDs. So, what do you mean STDs, or sexually transmitted disease? So, in this particular topic, we are going to learn about the definition of STD, how are they transmitted. We are going to learn about the different channels or the different types of STDs, their mode of transmission, how to prevent them, and their treatment. But the most important thing to remember is the name of the causative agent that causes a particular STD. So let's begin. So what do you mean by STD, or sexually transmitted disease? So any diseases which are transmitted from an infected individual to a healthy individual during unprotected sexual intercourse is called STD, or sexually transmitted disease. So let's look over here. Diseases or infections which are transmitted through the sexual intercourse with infected persons. So if an individual is infected by STD, and if that individual undergoes sexual intercourse, in that case it will be transmitted from an infected individual to a healthy individual. So those diseases which can be transmitted through the sexual intercourse are mainly called sexually transmitted disease, and it will be transmitted from an infected individual to a healthy individual. Now, next one. It's also called venereal disease or reproductive tract infection. So we used to call it STD, or we used to call it venereal disease or reproductive tract infection. Now, few of the examples of STD, remember, are gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, genital warts, trichomoniasis, cancer, hepatitis B, and HIV/AIDS. So these are the examples of STDs. Clear? Now, how are they transmitted? Like we have just discussed that it will be transmitted through sexual intercourse from an infected individual to a healthy individual. So let's go through it. So it is mainly transmitted by sexual intercourse with infected person. That means these STD are mainly transmitted from an infected individual to a healthy individual. But there are few STDs which are not only transmitted by the sexual intercourse, but they can be transmitted by other means also. For example, HIV/AIDS, right? This can be transmitted not only by the sexual intercourse, but it can also be transmitted by using the same syringe, surgical instruments which are not proper sterilized, transfusion of infected blood, and from an infected mother to the developing fetus. So HIV/AIDS can be transmitted by this means also. Clear? Now, most of the STDs, right, most of the sexually transmitted disease, if they are diagnosed at the early stage, and if the treatment will be done at the first stage, it can be cured. Clear? But there are some STDs like genital herpes and HIV infections which are very complicated to have. The rest of the STDs, they can be cured if they are diagnosed at the early stage and if the treatment is done at the initial phase of infections. Clear? Now, all the symptoms of STDs, we'll just go briefly over here. After that, we will go one by one through the type of STDs. Okay? So all the symptoms of STD includes itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, swellings in the genital regions. Now, In the present scenario, the present time, most of the young individuals who are between the age of, let's say, 15 to 20 or 24, they are the higher risk of being infected by STD. Clear? From the age group of 15 to 24, let's say. This particular age group individuals are at a higher risk of being infected by STDs. But STDs can be avoided. Alright, the infections from the sexually transmitted disease can be avoided. There are certain precautionary measures which needs to be taken to avoid STDs. So let's go through it. How STDs can be avoided. Number one, avoid sex with unknown partner or multiple partners. So we have to avoid sexual intercourse or having sex with multiple partners or unknown partners. So this is one of the higher risks of being infected by STDs. Number two, using condoms during sexual intercourse. This will prevent the transmission of the pathogens that causes STDs. Third one, whenever there is doubt, we have to visit a qualified doctor for early detection of STD and the complete treatment of the disease. So these are the preventive measures or the precautionary measures which needs to be taken to avoid the transmission or to avoid being infected from STD. Yeah. Now we will go through the few examples of STDs like syphilis. You can see over here. We will see the name of the causative agent that causes syphilis. We will see the symptoms of the disease, then treatment of the disease. Clear? Remember, when we discuss about the type of STDs or the different diseases that comes under STDs, you have to remember the name of the causative agent. That is, whether it is caused by bacteria or by a virus or by a protozoan. Clear? Number to remember the name or the symptoms. Alright, the symptoms of the disease. Next one, you have to remember the treatment. Clear? So these three are very, very important under STDs. Clear? So first one we look around syphilis. So first one, the name of the pathogen that causes syphilis. It is caused by bacteria Treponema pallidum. Now, whenever you are going to write the name of the causative agent, listen very carefully. Whenever you are going to write the name of the causative agent in scientific name, kindly underline it. Yeah, you have to follow the rules of nomenclature. If you remember, you are in class 11. Yeah, we have to underline the name, underline the scientific name separately, the name of the genus and the species name. But whenever we look into the book, they are written in italics. Clear? So whenever it is handwritten, you have to underline it separately. Clear? To be in mind. So first one you can see over here, syphilis is caused by bacteria. You can see over here the bacteria, and the name of the bacteria is Treponema pallidum. And you can see over here it's written in italics. Clear? But when you are writing it, you have to underline it separately. The name of the genus and the name of the species. So first one, it is caused by bacteria Treponema pallidum. Symptoms. Now this syphilis, it progresses through three steps or three stages. Alright, there are three stages for the occurrence of symptoms in syphilis. There are primary stage or the first stage we can say, then secondary stage and the tertiary stage. So first of all, let's say the symptoms that occurs during primary stage. So what are the symptoms? In primary stage there will be occurrence of painless ulcers. So there will be painless ulcers which appears around the vaginal opening, in the penis, mouth or the anus, with swelling of local lymph glands. These are the primary symptoms of syphilis. Clear? Second one, in secondary stage, what are the symptoms? In secondary stage, lesions on the lips, mouth and genitalia. There will be lesions on the skin rashes, hair loss, and swollen joints. These are the symptoms that occur during secondary stage. Third stage or the tertiary stage, chronic ulcers will appear on the palate, means roof of the mouth, nose and the lower limbs. In case of chronic infection, there can be paralysis, brain damage, blindness, heart trouble, and aortic impairment. So these are the symptoms of syphilis. Kindly go through it. Remember, there are three stages: primary, secondary, and tertiary stages of syphilis. So you have to remember the symptoms on each stage. Clear? Next one, how is it transmitted? It is transmitted through sexual intercourse or through sexual contact with the infected individuals, and it is also transmitted from the mother to the children. Clear? Next one, incubation period. Incubation period means, now this bacteria will attack an individual. It will infect an individual. But as soon as it enters the body of an individual, it will not show the symptoms then and there. Clear? There's a particular gap of gap in time period of the occurrence of symptoms. Okay, incubation period means the gap in time period between the entry of pathogen into our body and the occurrence of the symptoms of the disease. So that particular gap of time period with the entry of germs and the appearance of the symptom of the disease is called incubation period. So the incubation period for Treponema pallidum is really from 10 days to 90 days. So within this particular days, only the symptoms will appear in an infected individual. Clear? Now, treatment of syphilis. Two antibiotics can be taken: penicillin and tetracycline. Okay? So penicillin and tetracycline are the most effective drugs which can be used for the treatment of syphilis. And even these drugs can be given to the mother during pregnancy. Clear? Now, mainly in children, it is also called congenital syphilis. So, just now we learned syphilis. So, what we have learned? We have learned the name of the causative agent, that is caused by bacteria, Treponema pallidum. It will progress to three stages: primary stage, secondary stage, and tertiary stage. We have learned through the symptoms in a particular stage. Clear? Then we have learned about the mode of transmission through the sexual contact and from the mother to the children. Around incubation period 10 to 90 days, treatment can be done by the help of antibiotic, penicillin, and tetracycline. And it is the children which are mainly infected, if a mother will be infected. So therefore, in children it is called congenital syphilis. So kindly go through it. Next one, gonorrhea. The second STD. Okay. So gonorrhea. So here also we learn about the causative agent. The name of the causative agent is mainly a bacteria, Neisseria gonorrhea. Okay, remember the name of the causative agent that causes gonorrhea. It is mainly caused by bacteria. It's a bacterial STD that is caused by Neisseria gonorrhea. Okay, so remember the name of the bacteria that causes gonorrhea. And several you have to follow. Here also underline the name of the causative agent separately when you are writing it in scientific name. Symptoms. This Neisseria will live in the genital ducts, producing a pus. You know what is pus? Containing discharge, pain over genitalia, genital region, burning sensation during urination. It may lead to arthritis, joint pain, and eye infection. So these are the symptoms of gonorrhea. What are the symptoms? The bacteria Neisseria will live in genital ducts. It will produce a pus-like discharge. There will be a pain over genitalia and a burning sensation during urination. and it can also lead to arthritis, the joint pain, and even the eye infection. Transmission through the sexual contact, using common toilets, and also there are certain bad habits of sharing the undergarments and two individuals. So in that case also there will be transfer of STD. Treatment can be done by using 2 drugs or 2 antibiotics, penicillin and ampicillin. Clear? It is very easy. Remember the name of the causative agent, the symptoms of the disease, mode of transmission, and the treatment. It is very easy. Kindly go through the next one. Genital herpes. The next study we are going to discuss. So causative agent is caused by a virus. First we discuss about the bacteria. Now this one, genital herpes, is mainly a viral STD. It is caused by a virus. And the name of the virus that causes this genital herpes is herpes simplex. Clear? So herpes simplex causes genital herpes. It's a viral STD. Remember, what are the type of bacterial STD? Type of viral STD. This you have to remember. So as for the virus for herpes simplex, let's go to the symptoms now. Symptoms: Gonorrhea, vesicular-pustular lesions. So there are vesicular-pustular lesions. So what does this mean? This means the mixed eruptions or the rashes in the form of vesicles and the pustules. So there will be the appearance of rashes in the form of vesicles and the pustules in the body, which is called vesicular lesions. So vesicular means vesicles, pustular means pustules. Clear? And there will be appearance of reddish ulcers in clusters in groups over the genital area and in perianal areas. Swelling of inguinal lymph nodes, pain, vaginal and urethral discharge. Syria means painful or difficulty in urination. Headache and malaise means general discomfort and uneasiness. So these are the symptoms of genital herpes. What are they? There will be appearance of vesicular lesions, that is rashes or eruptions in the form of vesicles and pustules. There will be appearance of clusters of reddish ulcers in the genital area, in the perianal regions. There will be swelling in the inguinal lymph nodes. There will be pain, vaginal and urethral discharge. Syria means discomfort during urinations, headache and malaise, general discomfort and uneasiness. So these are the symptoms of genital herpes. Transmissions through genital secretions and contact with viruses. Use of condom can prevent the risk of viral transmission through transmission during sexual intercourse. It's very easy. Treatment can be done by using the medicines like Incubation, Genital, or Therapies. So these are the name of the drugs that can be used for the treatment of genital herpes. Clear? Next one. Chlamydiasis. It is a disease caused by bacteria. That is a bacterial disease which is caused by Chlamydia trachomatis. Right? The name of the causative agent that causes chlamydiasis is Chlamydia trachomatis. It's a bacterial STD. I'm telling you again. Remember the bacterial STD and the viral STD. So chlamydiasis is a bacterial STD caused by the bacteria Chlamydia trachomatis, and they are mainly found in the semen and the vaginal fluid. You know what is semen and what is vaginal fluid. Try to wriggle it. Clear? It infects the cervix and the urethra and can live in the rectum or even in the throat. Now you know what is cervix and urethra. Alright? So symptoms of chlamydiasis. It's a human pathogen. Pathogen means those germs which will cause different types of diseases in human beings. This is a human pathogen that causes trachoma and perinatal infections. Chlamydia trachomatis is an obligate intracellular pathogen. Now what is obligate parasites? We have done in class 11. And try to recall it. What is obligate parasites? Obligate parasites are those parasites which cannot survive in the absence of host. They require host for their survival. So they are obligate they are present within the cell. Intracellular pathogen, which causes urethritis of the urethra, epididymitis, mucopurulence with yellowish mucus and pus, cervicitis, problem in the cervix area, inflammation of fallopian tubes, rectal pain with mucus and occasional bleeding. It also causes severe pelvic inflammatory disease and increases risk of cervix cancer. So the cervix, urethra, fallopian tube, they are all the parts of the female reproductive tract. Try to recall the structure of female reproductive structure. Clear? So these are the symptoms of chlamydiasis. Now, often there are no symptoms in the initial stage, but let's see the stage or the symptoms in the later stage in case of men and the women. So in case of male, includes red sore tip of penis, itching and burning of testicles, burning sensation during urination, and white watery discharge from the penis. Are you clear for you this one? In case of female, mucus-like discharge from the vagina, pain and burning sensation during urination, and abdominal pain. These are the symptoms of chlamydiasis. Transmission spreads by sexual contact with the infected partner, e.g. Treatment can be done by antibiotics, such as tetracycline, erythromycin, and rifampicin. Okay, these are the different drugs which are used for treatment of chlamydiasis. Here, the doctor will run about the STD. They just only go through few terms like syphilis, gonorrhea, genital warts, and chlamydiasis. Now, the rest of the STDs we will discuss it in another class. But kindly go through textbook. Whatever the type of study we have done till now, kindly go through your textbook and remember which one is caused by bacteria and which one is caused by the virus. So remember the name of the causative agent, their symptoms, treatment. Alright, and kindly remember the most important one, the scientific name is very important. Okay, you have to remember the scientific name of the virus or the bacteria because it's a particular study. So rest study, rest time study, we will do it in next